Good morning. We have a wonderful lesson today that continues from where we were last week. You remember Moses and the Israelites. Here's Moses, and here are the people of Israel. And do you remember that when they got to the Red Sea, that God caused a strong wind to blow and the waters parted and the people were able to walk through on dry ground? You remember that from last week. Well, this week's lesson, Moses and the people have continued on their trip and they are camping by a mountain. It's called Mount Sinai. That's an important name to remember, Mount Sinai. And they are down at the bottom of the mountain, sleeping in tents, cooking their food over fire, just like you would if you were camping. Well, God told Moses to come up to the top of that mountain. And he said, "Come alone." And Moses obeyed. Moses went up to the top of the mountain. When he got there, he couldn't see God, but he could hear God's voice. And there was smoke all over the top of the mountain. And God gave something to Moses while he was up there. It was called a tablet of stone. And God had written on that tablet of stone with his finger 10 rules, 10 commandments. And he told Moses, take those 10 commandments and take them down to the people of Israel and teach them those commandments, those rules. That's another name for commandments. So Moses came down the mountain, and when he got to the people of Israel, he told them, God has given me these 10 commandments, and they are for our good, and we must obey them. The first rule says, we are to love God the most, more than anything else. And the second rule is that we are to work for 6 days and then rest on the 7th day. That's what we do. We work on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's 6 days. And on the 7th day, we rest. We come to church, we worship, we have our Sunday school class. That's on the 7th day. That was one of the rules that God gave. Another rule that God gave was especially for children. He said, children, obey your parents. Do you obey your parents? The first time they tell you to do something, do you say, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, and obey right away? That's how you show them that you love them. When we obey God, it shows God that we love him. Another rule was about our hands. God's rule said that we should not take things that don't belong to us. Oh, what a happy life we would have if we would just ask before we take something. And if we would get permission and never steal, never take something that's not ours. And then God gave them rules about their mouth. God said not to lie or to say bad things about other people. Wouldn't that make our lives so much happier if we only spoke truth? And if we only said kind things about others? I think so. Those are just some of the rules that God gave to Moses. And your mom and dad can look those rules up, those 10 commandments, in the book of Exodus, chapter 19 and chapter 20. And in Deuteronomy chapter 7. Have them read the 10 Commandments to you and your life will be happy if you obey them. You know, we have things in our lives that we must obey. Like your mom says, don't have cookies before supper, we're going to eat soon. You obey her, and then your dinner tastes so good when you eat it and you're not filled up with cookies. Another rule that our parents must follow is they must obey street signs like this one. We know that red stands for stop, and green means go, and yellow means wait. Those are rules of the road that your mom and dad must obey. If they do, things go well. If they don't, they might have an accident or get stopped by the policeman. You know, God gives us rules in His Word, the Bible, the 10 Commandments, and then He gives us people who care for us, who help us to obey. You know, our Bible verse this quarter is God is love, 1 John 4:8. And we have a little song. God is love, God is love, 1 John chapter 4 verse 8. The Bible tells us this is true. God cares for me, He cares for you. Let's sing it again. God is love, God is love, 1 John chapter 4 verse 8. The Bible tells us that it's true. God always cares for me and you. I know you're going to obey your mom and dad this week, and that's going to make your life so much better, and it's going to make your mom smile a whole lot when she gives you something to do. You just say, okay, I'll be glad to do it. Oh, have a wonderful week, and I will see you next Sunday. Until then, remember, Mrs. Rill and I pray for you, we love you, and we can't wait till we have Sunday school together. Until then, bye-bye.